Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's December 1st. Let's get going. It's been a long year, and I'm glad you all have kept up with me. Speaking of people who have kept up, today's question comes from friend of the channel, Photos by Jabril. He asks what my favorite adaptation of Batman is. A relatively normal question. I grew up watching the animated series, and I really do love that, but I honestly prefer Batman Beyond. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic coupled with the creepy dark backgrounds. Live action wise, I think my favorite of all time is Christian Bale. But if Robert Pattinson's next movie is really good, he might steal that spot. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's December 2nd. Let's get going. Louis C. Animates asks, chicken bake or double chunk chocolate cookie? I like both of these, and depending on the time of the day, my answer would change. But right now, chocolate cookie. Our final exam question comes from Jilly-chan. She asks if I could date one Persona girl IRL, who would it be? So first off, let's eliminate all of the underage girls here, as I am an adult and not a pedo. That leaves us with Maya, Ulala, Yuki, Ellie, Elizabeth, Toriumi, Mitsuru, Margaret, Kashiwagi, Eri, Sayoko, Mika, Chihaya, Kawakami, Takemi, Sae, and Oya. For the record, Mitsuru's birthday is May 8th, 1991, putting her at 18 for over 80% of the game. If I had to pick anyone from here, it would probably be Toriumi. She's a true gamer girl, and she'll get drunk and rant at people in online games. That feels like a perfect match to me. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's December 3rd. Let's get going. On the way into school, the gang almost literally runs into Yosuke and I, on account of the fog. Rise comments that it's almost exactly like in the TV world, and Kanji puts on his glasses, causing the rest of us to realize that they're working on this side. Does the TV have a leak? After finishing up our exams, we head to Junes to discuss the fog, and Namatame. And when Yosuke brings up Nanako, I remember I promised to buy her a new kotatsu. The gang takes this as an opportunity to lighten the mood, which Teddy immediately kills by reminding us that he's originally from the TV, and he doesn't want to go back. We tell him he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, and he can even stay at my place if he needs to. After picking out a Hiho plushie for Nanako, Adachi calls, saying we need to get to the hospital immediately. We arrive to find out that Nanako's condition has worsened, and after a nurse escorts Dojima back to his room, Adachi shows up to give us the rundown on Namatame. He says the charges likely won't stick, as his alibi is rock solid, and the whole throwing people into TVs thing sounds like nonsense. Before Kanji can kick his ass for being a bad cop, the nurse calls me into Nanako's room. Nana-chan's in bad shape, and I do my best to comfort her.
Nanako! Nanako! I'm sorry, sir.
Dojima decides to go confront Namatame, and after a little convincing, Adachi tells us where he's at. We go in Dojima's place, and while there, Namatame's shadow self appears on a TV in the room, saying that he failed to save Nanako, and that he's lost his will to live if he can't continue to save people. Something doesn't quite add up to me, though, and while the rest of the gang debates on throwing Namatame into the TV, I realize that cooler heads have to prevail here. I stop them from becoming murderers, and before we can discuss what to do, the nurse appears to take us back to Nanako's room. She's alive? Apparently, while we were out, Teddy sacrificed himself to allow Nanako to live. Man, way to ruin the emotional impact and drama of the day, Teddy. Wait, where is he? On the way out, Adachi catches me and tells me that Dojima's calmed down, and thanks me for being there for them. I head home and have an early night, with a weird dream of the Velvet Room. Igor congratulates me for calming the crew down, before stopping the car and saying that now is the time for contemplation rather than action. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's December 4th. Let's get going. I wake up to a frantic Yosuke at the door, claiming that Teddy's missing. He says that the rest of the gang is at Junes checking the TV world, so we head there. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how much you like Teddy, no one can find him, but I figure he'll be back eventually. So we start discussing the case. After reviewing the facts, we find a small hole in the idea that Namatame is the murderer. He mentioned saving people, and said that he had saved us. That would mean he threw the gang into the TV, yes, but why would he consider us saved if we didn't die? And what about the warning letters? To answer our questions, we head back to the hospital and sneak into Namatame's room to interrogate him. He confirms our hypothesis, that he truly didn't have anything to do with the first two cases, by saying Yukiko was the first person he tried to save. With the new information that Namatame truly was just trying to help, we decided to collect info around town tomorrow. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 5th. Let's get going. We're off from school today, and it's a classic pre-dungeon info gathering. We ask around town if they remember anything about the murders back in spring, but aside from someone who saw Namatame talking to Saki Konishi, we got nothing. We meet at Aya to pool our information, and Naoto and I walk outside to get some fresh air. Yosuke quickly follows, and while contemplating on every fact I can think of, I come to the conclusion that the murderer could only be Nanako. Wait, that can't be right. The only person that fits every single detail is Adachi. He's the only one that interacted with both Mayumi, as her police detail, and Saki to ask her about the dead body, as well as the only person that could have possibly delivered the warning letters. He's a close friend though, so after mulling it over, I decide to tell the gang my thoughts. We head back inside, and after realizing that Adacho seems more suspicious with each new detail, we decide to ask him some questions. Naoto calls to see if he's at the hospital, and finds out that they're transporting Namatame out at this exact moment, so we hurry over. We stumble upon the Jonkler himself, and he says we should skedaddle, as Dojima might catch us. He seems miffed that Namatame's been moved, as he's right on the heels of our logic with the holes in the story, but Adachi does his best to get us all to leave. We say we have a few questions for him, and he tries to book it, but we stop him and say we think he's responsible for the first two murders.
We already know Namatame's the one who put them all in!
Gotcha, bitch!
With his slip-up, Adachi makes a break for it,
Wait, you son of a
directly
bitch!
into the big-ass TV in Namatame's room. We decide to head in tomorrow from the TV in Junes, and close this case for good. I have another Velvet dream tonight, complete with a cameo from Teddy. He tells me that, after some soul-searching, he's realized that he's actually a shadow. He says shadows can't stay in the human world, and that when I meet Nanako in the other world, I should tell her I'm sorry. I let Teddy know that he actually saved Nanako's life, and he perks right up, even saying that he's glad he met me. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 6th. Let's get going. We meet at Junes, and since Yosuke still can't find Teddy, we head in for some Adachi hunting. While we all bitch about the fog, Rise gets to work searching, and she realizes that while she can sense Adachi, she can't find him, or Teddy. Speaking of the bear, we cut to him back where he disappeared, in Nanako's room. He apologizes to Nana-chan, and surprisingly she wakes up. Teddy grabs a doctor, but Nanako fell asleep before they could return. The doctor says that if we keep speaking to her, she should wake back up though. He leaves, and Teddy realizes that even though he's a shadow, he can still help people. Back in the TV, Rise falls to her knees after trying desperately to find Adachi. We call it a day. While relaxing at Junes, Rise notices Teddy creepily staring at us from afar, and the whole gang welcomes him back. He tells us what he's learned about himself, and we inform him of the mission that we're going to take tomorrow. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 7th. Let's get going. We resume our Adachi hunt with Teddy in tow, and he's more ready than ever to prove himself useful. After going even further beyond, he points us in the direction of that creepy room where Yosuke pissed in the corner. We arrive at the legendary location and confront Adachi there,
Who's there?
who surprisingly villain monologues at us. He says that he was the one who pushed Mayumi Yamano into the TV, and he only did it because she was, quote,
Another worthless bitch.
I guess that misogyny from earlier wasn't just a bit. He also says he's the reason Namatame started kidnapping us, as he intercepted his call to the police station. When we ask him why he kept up the game of cat and mouse, he simply says that it was fun, and a decent distraction from the boring boonies.
No!
Kanji goes to shut him up, but Adachi used Shadow Clone Jutsu, because this isn't his real body. He goads us, and opens up a passage to the final dungeon. We decide to come back tomorrow, and the group warns me against going alone to confront him. So, after everyone goes home, I go alone to confront him. I try to talk him down, but he seems hell-bent on fusing the TV world with Inaba, I guess? His whole motivation is to not be bored, so I guess he's got... Oh, fuck. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 8th. Let's get going. Funnily enough, today's our first free day in over a week, and to commemorate this occasion, our test results are posted, and I claim my rightful spot as valedictorian of the year. Maybe I'll join student council next year. Since I now have the ability to hang out with anyone, I decided to meet up with Naoki and Aya. He tells me that since we last hung out, he decided to tell his parents he wants to drop out of school and help with the store. And upon hearing this, they immediately told him no. They want him to find his own way in life. Honestly, that's more admirable than taking over a dying liquor store out of a sense of responsibility, but I can't just come out and say that. He has to figure it out himself. After running through his weekly gripes with the residents of Inaba pitying him, I finish up my soup and head on home to curl up with a good book for the first time in forever. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 9th. Let's get going. At lunch, Ai-chan finds me and asks if I'm free today. I actually had planned to hang out with her today, so after class we head up to the roof again. Does she have a death wish or something? She tells me she ran into Ko recently, and while talking with him, she realized he's just a normal, everyday guy, not some superhero that makes her heart flutter. I tell her it's normal to be enraptured, especially at her age, and she realizes that maybe she's been wearing her heart on her sleeve. Ai tells me she's been lying to herself about her preferences in order to be liked, but maybe because she wasn't being herself, she subconsciously figured no one liked her. I walk her home, then take up some midnight gardening. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 10th. Let's get going. After school, I figure now is as good a time as any to finish up my time at the daycare. After telling all the other little rascals goodbye, I notice Eri walking up to say her goodbyes. It actually turns out today's Yuta's last day as well. It definitely has nothing to do with the impending doom. Eri says she's pulling Yuta out of daycare so she can learn how to be a proper family, thinking that they should spend more time together. She thanks me for showing her that, then hands me a 4-leaf clover she made into a bookmark as a parting gift. I definitely won't miss getting punched by a 9-year-old. I arrive home, and feeling a little lonely, I decide to check the cushion that Nanako always sits on. It turns out, she had left me a present, in case I scored high on the finals. I'm extremely touched, but I can't equip it, as I know my dumbass would break it immediately. I head upstairs, reinvigorated, and set to work on reading. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 11th. Let's get going. It's been a while, but today I want to hang with Kanji. We meet up at the gazebo on top of the hill overlooking town, and after some small talk, Kanji asks me what his mom said to me at the hospital. I tell him she talked my ear off about everything to do with him, and Kanji gets slightly embarrassed, saying he's now got nothing to hide. He notices the kid that his mom took to the hospital is up on the hill with us, and like the big softie he is, Kanji goes and tries to see what's up. The kid lost a stuffed animal that he had borrowed after being bullied for playing with girly things, and the bullies threw it in the river. Riled up and pissed off, Kanji acts before thinking, and drags us down to Samagawa in the middle of December to wade through the river looking for it. We obviously don't find it, but Kanji promises to make the kid a new stuffed rabbit, though he doesn't explicitly say that. In the evening, I finish Polyland, leaving me just 3 books before the trophy. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 12th. Let's get going. In keeping with yesterday, and my scheduled notes, I hang out with Naoto after school, and help her on the Phantom Thieves case. She says that since the Shirogane estate was broken into, she hasn't heard much from her grandpa, or butler. Putting that obvious foreshadowing aside, she reveals that there's a new calling card, another number-letter puzzle. By removing the letters in 40 and 4 from the clue, we reveal the location of the next item. The table at Junes. We head to the food court to find yet another one of Naoto's 7 tools of the detective, a ballpoint pen complete with flashlight and telescope. She's surprised that the stolen goods are all hers from her childhood, then mentally heads back to think over the changes she's undergone in her life. We chat about growing up, before I head home to get one step closer to that achievement. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 13th. Let's get going. I planned on heading to basketball practice today, but only Daisuke is at the usual spot. I head anyway, and just as practice starts, Ko comes in and tells us he's heading to the orphanage to inquire about his birth parents. After practice, Daisuke and I head to the station and wait for him to show up, but when Ko arrives, he tells us the only thing the orphanage did was give him a letter. We sit down and listen to him read it, only to find out that his parents died very soon after he was born, of illness. We try to console him as he becomes despondent, saying stuff like he has no one and he's glad he at least knows. But I can't really tell what he's feeling after we help. At home, I get to reading yet again. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 14th. Let's get going. On the way to school, Naoto reminds me that Adachi is just, hiding in the TV. He's just sitting there, waiting for us to delve in. I tell her I understand. I'm just trying to min-max. Speaking of min-maxing, I decide to hang out with Naoki, and like usual, we end up getting Chinese. He apologizes for thinking he should take over the family business as soon as possible, and tells me that he respects me for not being like others and actually taking time to talk to him. Naoki goes quiet for a second, then randomly mentions that he likes cream puffs. I'm confused, and he explains that when Saki was still alive, she would steal his cream puffs out of the fridge, saying that they expired. But now that she's gone, the cream puffs he had in the fridge expired for real. I realize that this is his way of acknowledging Saki's death, coming to grips with it, and when we finish up our food, he asks if I can take him to Junes next time, just to see why Saki was working there. I head home to my small library. Only 2 books to go. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 15th. Let's get going. On the way out of school, I notice Ai by the shoe lockers, and it looks like she's getting hit on, bullied. Apparently it's someone she used to fool around with, and while talking, he makes fun of her for dating me. Ai shatters my dreams by telling him we're not, in fact, dating, but she stands up for me, before being cut off by the Andrew Tate wannabe, who threatens her to try and get her to go out with him. I jump in as soon as I hear this, and this pisses him off. He goes to hit me, but Ai jumps in the way, and she takes a hard slap to the face.
What is the 5 fingers say to the face? What? Slap!
Broski runs off, and I tell Ai that what she did was reckless. She responds by saying that she only wanted to help me, just like I've been helping her. She giggles, and I walk her home, then head home myself to read. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 16th. Let's get going. After school, Naoki and I head to Junes for his first ever visit, and after a tour of the building, we sit down in the food court to talk. He realizes why people have been shopping at Junes, saying their prices are way lower than even at his family's store. But since Saki's death, they've had more business due to pity purchases. Suddenly, a wild Yosuke appears, surprised to see Naoki out and about at Junes. He tries to be buddy-buddy, but after noticing it's not working, he runs off to get us all steak skewers. Naoki says Yosuke's pretty nosy, and tries to lump me in with him, but I call him out, and remind him that Yosuke isn't all bad. He returns with the skewers, and after a less than stellar review from Naoki, we all head home. At least the vegetables don't think Yosuke and I are alike. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 17th. Let's get going. After basketball practice, Ko, Daisuke, and I head to Samagawa to hang out, mostly because Ko wants to be by the river, and he tells us about when he was first adopted, and how he feels now that he's free from the responsibility of being an Ichijo. Ko says he feels empty, knowing that he has no roots, and Daisuke says we should visit his parents' graves, but Ko realizes he wouldn't even know where to look, as all he has is that letter from 10 years ago. Wait, 10 years?
10 years in the joint made you a fucking pussy.
Ko realizes that the letter the orphanage gave him is a little too pristine to be 10 years old, and learning this, he figures that maybe he didn't need roots to be happy. Daisuke calls him stupid for not seeing this earlier, and suggests we all take a dip in the river to cool off. In December. After our icy splash pad adventure, I head home, harvest some veggies, and begin the final book of the run. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 18th. Let's get going. I decided to hang with Kanji today, as it's Sunday, and none of the non-party members are available. We meet up at the hill overlooking town with the little kid who lost a stuffed rabbit, and Kanji surprises him with an elaborate bunny wearing clothes, a ribbon, and carrying an umbrella. The kid is stunned. He's so happy he tells Kanji he wants one too. Kanji planned for this, and made him one too, complete with clothes, shoes, a hat, and a soccer ball. It's very elaborate. The kid asks where he bought it, and I tell Kanji to tell the truth, so he admits that he actually made them. Rather than the kid thinking it's creepy or weird, he actually asks Kanji if he can make more cute stuff for him, and his mom. This shocks Kanji, and after calling him cool, the kid runs off. Kanji, for the first time, doesn't feel looked down on for liking girly things. I head home, and finish the final book of the run, granting me the Reader King accessory, and of course, the compulsive reader achievement. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 19th. Let's get going. After school, Yosuke invites himself to my room, then begins his mandatory hunt for my porn stash. Why would I need porn when I have 7 girlfriends, you may ask? Sometimes a man just wants privacy. Speaking of girls, Yosuke mentions offhandedly that he can't think about relationships at the moment, especially with the whole, Adachi situation. We sit in silence for a moment, before he brings up some event at Junes regarding a pyramid scheme, Young Men's Association. Wanna play Smash Bros? Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 20th. Let's get going. After class, I head to basketball practice for what ends up being my final time for the year. While there, Ko catches me, and says he has something to give Daisuke and I after practice. We finish up, and follow Ko to the roof, where he tells us that his insecurities came to a head recently, when he confronted his family and asked them outright if they still want him. They absolutely lost it, resulting in his mom crying and calling him stupid for even questioning his place in the house. It took this kind of outburst for him to finally realize that finding yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you have to question your place in life.
Really getting it is totally different. I mean, really finding yourself.
Daisuke calls him out for getting mushy on us, and Ko says there's still one more mushy thing left. He wants us to hold on to the fake letter from the orphanage, at least until he feels as if he's found his place in life. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 21st. Let's get going. In keeping with saying goodbye to my school friends, I get dragged up to the roof, yet again, by Ai-chan. She calls me weird. Great way to start off confessing to the guy you like, Ebihara. She gets mad that I've been playing hard to get with her, which really was just me respecting her unresolved trauma, but she says that it's only natural that she'd fall in love with me. Since the school year, and Inaba, is ending, I humor her advances, and accept her lovingly into my small harem. She says she fell for me because I ignored the rumors surrounding her, saying, quote,
You saw me as I am.
Ai hands me a compact mirror, a symbol of her discarding her vanity, and says that from now on, she'll use me as a mirror to see her true self.
Well, I can. More, right?
Turns out, she's actually pretty timid. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 22nd, and it's a doozy. For starters, today's the last day I can hang with anybody, but it's also the last day to beat Adachi and still get the Christmas events. I decide that with the power of editing, I can do both. Yes, this means I have to beat Adachi twice, and yes, this makes today's video extra long, but whatever. In Universe 1, I hang out with Naoki. He takes me to the spot where his sister's body was found, and tells me that initially he felt as if he wasn't grieving properly. Naoki's idea of grieving is like what they show on TV, but I tell him that everyone grieves differently. He thinks about this for a second, and then asks me the toughest question in the world.
She must have wanted to live more, huh?
Naoki breaks down crying, and I tell him from personal experience to let it all out. A good ugly cry does a lot of good once in a while. With renewed anger at all the lives that Adachi's ruined, I head into TV in Universe 2. After maxing Margaret in a quick jaunt through all the past dungeons to defeat the boss shadows, we delve into Magatsu Inaba. This dark, fucked up version of Inaba is Adachi's hidey hole, and he taunts us the whole time we're there. We reach a tape line that we can't open, and Adachi laughs, saying that we're now trapped in the TV world. Luckily, I'm suicidal, and I decide to jump down a hole in the floor, leading us to another part of the dungeon, where we hunt down the shadow that's keeping the door locked. We finally confront Adachi, and after confirming himself as a true agent of chaos and a nihilist, we jump his ass, courtesy of my freshly crafted Yoshitsune. Adachi stumbles back, and becomes possessed by a being calling itself Amino Sagiri. This floating eyeball says that it's the true source of the fog, and the reason we're able to enter the TV. It rambles about mankind for like 12 minutes. Then Yoshitsune pops his goofy eyeball with Hasotobi.
Persona!
Amino Sagiri, having been defeated, states that it shall follow the will of mankind, and agrees to lift the fog in the real world. It disappears, leaving Adachi laying on the ground. He tells us to leave him there and let the shadows get him, but we tell him that there's still a chance to turn over a new leaf. We escort Adachi to the police station, and step out into the sunlight for the first time in a month.
Here goes. We did our best.
Woo!
Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 23rd. Let's get going. My reward for chugging through about 3 days worth of content in one comes in the evening, as after relaxing all day, I check my phone to find 3 new messages, each from one of my girlfriends. Initially, I rejected all of them, as I wanted to spend Christmas with the boys. But apparently you have to max out Kanji and Yosuke to do that, so I reload and pick Chie. This one's for you, Phony. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 24th. Merry Christmas, everyone. Chie comes to my room in the evening for a romantic Christmas Eve, and makes sure I know that she's nervous, considering she's never spent Christmas with a boy. Well, I've got news for her. I'm no mere boy. She fidgets, saying she's extremely happy to be with me, then nervously hands me her present, a fluffy muffler. I bet Chie's muff is fluffy. She says that she bought it, but next year she wants to make one herself. Then says she wants to celebrate Christmas with me next year too. I tell her of course, and after eating our cake...
You know, I told my parents I'll be at Yukiko's place tonight.
Sex! Sex! 俺はセックスをするんじゃねえ！俺自身が真のセックスになるんだ！セッ
Hey, wipe that grin off your face! Stupid.
Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 25th. Happy Ho Holidays! That sounded pretty cringe, not gonna lie. The gang meets up at Jeunesse for our final recap. After going over the fact that Adachi confessed and confirming that Teddy's gonna stay on our side for the foreseeable future, I get a phone call from Dojima of all people. He says that the doctors are letting Nanako come home for a bit. He's also been feeling on the up and up, so they're both coming home for Christmas. I relay this to the group, causing the 2 dweebs across from me to break down crying.
Where are you touching?
Chie suggests throwing a Christmas party for Nanako, complete with a homemade cake. Oh no. We head back to my house after the impromptu shopping trip, and we get to show Nanako the brand new Kotatsu we bought. I miss this little ball of sunshine. Unfortunately, the girls are about to subject her to a fate worse than death.
Wait, Nanako-chan! I'll be the first one to... No!
It's delicious!
Wait, it's actually good?
It tastes really good!
It's a Christmas miracle! I guess Naoto's help was the secret ingredient. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 26th. Let's get going. On the way to our last day of school, Yosuke catches me and lets me know that it's supposed to rain tonight, so we should check the Midnight Channel, just in case. I get home after our closing ceremony, and harvest my veggies for the final time before winter hits.
They look yummy.
Great vegetables.
I head upstairs, and as the clock strikes midnight, surprisingly, my TV stays off, not even attempting to show the Midnight Channel. Yosuke calls to confirm that we all saw the same thing. Then he gets emotional, thinking about how the stress of the whole year has finally ended. Now it's time for a nice, week-long break to New Year's. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's December 31st. Let's get going. It's been a nice, relaxing week, both in-game and IRL. Over the course of the week, the group all made plans to meet up at Tatsuhime's shrine to ring in the new year. But even though everyone lives within 5 minutes of the place, they're all late. Even Kanji, who sprints out of his house apologizing, saying he fell asleep watching Toshikoshi Kurotoshi. Soon, Yosuke and Teddy show up and apologize for keeping me waiting, and even they're surprised the girls are late. Kanji wonders if they're coming in kimono, and the rest of the guys get excited imagining it. Little do they know indeed. Just as Yosuke begins to fantasize about Naoto and kimono, the girls show up, saying that they were buying heat packs to prevent the cold. Then where are Chie's pants?
Staying still makes me cold.
They're handing out Amazaki over there.
Not till New Year's.
Hey, how long till next year?
Oh, it's almost time.
Okay! 5, 4,
3,
2, 1! Happy New Year! We're here together. New Year's here.
New Year's?
Let's make this year a great
Happy New Year, both
Year
of
too,
you.
partner. Thank you.
It's none of your celebration.
Nope, none for you, Rise. And the same goes for you, Yukiko.
Come on, just let it go. It's snowy.
Oh.
I told you it was cold. Do you think the snow will pile up?
This is what they call a white New Year's, huh?
No one calls it that.
It's a new year, but you're still Morangi.
What?
Morangi. Oh.
Hey, what are you nodding for? Shut up!